The bell above the diner door jingled softly as midnight settled in. Rain streaked the windows, blurring the neon lights outside into watery halos. Lena Marquez moved between tables with practiced ease, topping off coffee cups, sliding plates of pie onto chipped ceramic saucers, her expression composed and unreadable. The late crowd was small. A trucker hunched over a burger, a college couple sharing fries, and a solitary man in a charcoal suit seated in the back booth, his posture relaxed but alert. The door burst open so violently it struck the wall. 2 masked men rushed in. One carried a gun that trembled slightly in his grip, the other vaulted the counter, shouting for everyone to get down. A glass shattered. Someone screamed. Lena did not. She finished pouring coffee for the trucker, steady to the last drop, then set the pot back on the warmer. Her pulse thudded in her ears, but her face remained calm. "There's no need to yell," she said evenly to the man behind the counter. "The register sticks if you slam it." The gunman hesitated, thrown off rhythm. Chaos feeds on fear, and she refused to offer any. While he fumbled with the till, Lena shifted her weight just enough to press her hip discreetly against the silent alarm beneath the counter. The man in the charcoal suit watched her, eyes sharp with interest. Sirens wailed in the distance. The robbers bolted. Only then did Lena exhale. The police came and went in a blur of flashing lights and routine questions. Statements were taken. Napkins were used to mop up spilled coffee and streaks of muddy footprints. By 1 in the morning, the Bellamy diner had settled back into its usual hum, as if violence were just another late-night special. Lena wiped down the counter methodically, her movements unhurried. The trucker had left. The college couple whispered their way out the door. Only the man in the charcoal suit remained in the back booth, untouched coffee growing cold in front of him. She approached with the pot. "Refill?" she asked. His gaze lifted to meet hers, calm, assessing, almost curious. "You didn't seem afraid," he said. She poured steadily. "I was. But you didn't show it." "Panic spreads," she replied. "Faster than anything else in a room like this." A faint smile touched his mouth. Up close, he seemed even more controlled than before, as though the chaos had merely confirmed something he already suspected. "You're unusual," he said. "I'm employed," Lena answered lightly. He studied her a moment longer. "Most people reveal themselves when frightened. Maybe they just reveal what they practice most." "And what do you practice?" "Staying useful." The corner of his mouth lifted again, this time with unmistakable approval. He set several crisp bills beneath his cup. Far more than the check required, and stood. "What's your name?" "Lena." "I'll remember that." She watched him walk toward the door, posture unhurried, as if the night had unfolded exactly as expected. He returned 2 nights later. Not at midnight this time, but just before closing, when the diner lights dimmed slightly and the air smelled of coffee grounds and lemon disinfectant. Lena noticed him the second he stepped inside. The same charcoal suit. No tie tonight. No visible hurry. He chose the back booth again. "Black coffee," he said as she approached, though he hadn't opened the menu. "You remembered the special," she replied evenly. "I remember useful things." She poured his coffee, aware of the way the room subtly shifted around him. A pair of construction workers at the counter lowered their voices. The dishwasher in the back peeked through the kitchen window, then disappeared. "You're not from around here," Lena observed. "No," he said. "But I own quite a bit of it." It wasn't arrogance. It was fact. She didn't react, only refilled a sugar dispenser at the end of his table. "Ownership can be temporary. Everything is temporary." Their eyes met, a quiet recognition passing between them. After a pause, he said, "Do you know who I am?" "Yes." "And you're still here?" "I have a shift until 2. A flicker of amusement crossed his face. "Most people either avoid me or try to impress me. I'm not most people." "No," he agreed softly. Outside, A sleek black car idled at the curb. Inside, the clock ticked toward closing. He left another generous tip, but this time, beneath the bills, was a business card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering, only a name and a number. Viktor Sokolov. Lena slipped it into her apron without comment. By the fourth week, his visits had settled into a pattern. Thursday nights. 9:30 sharp. The same booth, the same black coffee, the same quiet gravity that seemed to bend the room around him. Lena no longer checked the door when it opened. She felt his presence the way one feels a shift in weather. "You're predictable," she said one evening, setting his cup down before he asked. "Routine builds trust," Viktor replied. "Or comfort. Which are you aiming for?" He considered that. "I haven't decided." Outside, traffic hissed along rain-slick streets. Inside, the diner hummed with low conversation and clinking silverware. To anyone watching, they were just another waitress and customer exchanging small talk. But their conversations were never small. "You run this place like a commander," he observed. "You notice everything." "It's my job." "No. It's instinct." She didn't answer. He leaned back, studying her. "Have you ever thought about doing something larger?" "Define larger." "Managing people. Decisions that matter beyond coffee refills." She met his gaze evenly. "Everything matters to someone." A corner of his mouth lifted. "You think small rooms are small worlds? That's rare. And you think large empires make you untouchable?" She countered gently. His eyes sharpened, but there was no anger in them, only interest. "Untouchable is a myth," he said quietly. "Good," Lena replied. "Myths collapse." For a long moment, silence settled between them, not awkward, not tense, but charged. He left that night without offering anything tangible. Just a lingering look that felt very much like an invitation. The invitation came sooner than she expected. It was a quiet Thursday, the kind where the diner felt suspended outside of time. Viktor arrived 10 minutes late, a detail so small most people wouldn't notice. Lena did. There was a faint dark stain along the edge of his cuff. Not wine. Not coffee. He sat without removing his coat. "Black coffee," he said. She poured it, then set the pot down more deliberately than usual. "You're bleeding." His eyes flicked to his sleeve, then back to her. "It isn't mine." "That's not better." A faint exhale, almost a laugh. "You're direct." "I prefer efficient." He studied her in silence before speaking again. "There are people who mistake aggression for strength. They made a poor calculation tonight. And you corrected it." "Yes." The diner carried on around them, unaware that violence had brushed its doorway and moved on. "You should be more careful," Lena said quietly. "Are you worried about me?" She met his gaze without hesitation. "I don't like instability. It ruins businesses." For a moment, something shifted in his expression, not amusement this time, but recognition. "You see the structure beneath things," he said. "Most only see the surface." She wiped down the edge of the table, her voice steady. "Structures collapse when they're built on fear. And what would you build on? Control. Patience. Profit." He leaned back, considering her as though re-evaluating a blueprint. When he left, the tip was larger than usual. This time, there was a second card beneath it, an address. A time. Tomorrow night. The address led to a building downtown that had once been a bank, tall columns, polished stone, windows too dark to see through. It looked respectable. Established. Untouchable. Lena arrived exactly on time. She wore a simple black dress and low heels, nothing dramatic, nothing that suggested she was stepping into anything other than a business meeting. A man at the door nodded once and let her pass without question. Inside, the old vault had been replaced with glass offices and a long conference table of dark walnut. Men in tailored suits stood in small clusters, their voices low, conversations halting briefly as she entered. Victor stood at the far end of the room. No charcoal tonight. Navy. Crisp. Immaculate. There was no visible blood, no sign of disorder. Only authority. You came, he said. You gave me a time, Lena replied. A flicker of approval crossed his face. This is a discussion, he told her. Nothing more. She stepped forward, aware of the measuring glances from the others. About what? Expansion, Victor said. Restaurants. Hotels. Shipping interests. All legitimate. But legitimacy requires perception. And you think I manage perception? I think you manage people without them realizing it. A murmur rippled faintly around the table. One of the men spoke. With respect, she's a waitress. Lena turned to him calmly. With respect, you're underestimating customer service. Silence followed, then a few restrained smiles. Victor's gaze never left her. This, he said quietly to the room, is why she's here. The door closed behind her. Not trapping her. Inviting her in.